If any of you were the nominee and you beat Susan Collins, alluding to something we were talking about at the top of the hour, Maine will lose all of her seniority. Whether you think that's worth it or pays dividends is part of the campaign debate here. But make the case for Maine voters why it's important for Democrats, you would be one of them, to regain the Senate majority. For instance, what kind of oversight of the Trump administration would you want to pursue if that were to happen? Graham Plattner always used to talk about the Senate would be really busy with hearings and calling every Trump administration up to testify under oath. Maybe you think along the same lines. Jordan got the last question, so we'll start with you, Shanna Bellows.
Do I get an hour?
No, you get 60 seconds.
Because I have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
But what I want to say about the stakes in November is the path to the United States Senate runs through Maine. Without Maine, without being prepared to win in just over 100 days, we will not be able to hold Donald Trump accountable, and equally importantly, hold the billionaires and the massive corporations and all of those in power who are corrupting our democracy accountable. And so I have many ideas on this one. And if you'd like to go get a mocktail.
Give me an example of a specific area of oversight that you'd like to have a hearing on.
Well, I'd like to have a lot of hearings, but I will start with voting rights, because tonight Donald Trump is going to say he can decertify Liberty voting machines, and people are going to be super scared. And here's the thing. He doesn't get to do that. The states have sovereignty over our elections. Last week, he sent me a letter threatening to prosecute me with criminal. He's threatening to take me off in handcuffs if I didn't respond in 5 days. But guess what? He doesn't get to do that. People are scared, and he is just scaring them. He's a bully because he's scared too. And so, yes, I have a plan to hold him accountable.
Troy Jackson, Democratic majority, make the case.
Well, I think to your question, I mean, I actually come from the same area Susan Collins comes from. I've been on the ballot with Donald Trump the last 3 elections. I've been on the ballot with Susan Collins. People in my area vote for me because they know that I stand up for working class people. And I think in this case, Collins has completely forgotten who she's representing. I mean, the people in Mercer County and this state didn't send her down there to actually give income tax cuts to billionaires. They sent her down there to fight for farmers and other people that needed help, needed a government that they could rely on. And as far as something like this, prescription drugs. I mean, I live around the border. I see people in New Brunswick that are going with health care, they're going with prescription drugs, the same drugs that we have. And nobody in D.C. is actually doing anything because the healthcare industry, Big Pharma, is buying them out, and we can't afford to buy them back. And that's why I want to go so I can work on those issues that are so important to the people of the state of Maine.
Nirav Shah, what would a Democratic majority do differently, or any specific area of oversight for you?
Phil, I got 3 letters for you. RFK. One of the most odious cabinet confirmations that Susan Collins has made is her vote in favor of RFK. And we've all seen the disastrous consequences that has started to have. Whether it's screwworm, measles, Medicare that's actually going off the rails financially, and there has been zero oversight. If anything, once again, Senator Collins, with her perch on appropriation, has aided and abetted RFK and his decimation of our nation's healthcare system. So one of the committee assignments that I would be seeking is an assignment on the HELP Committee, Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, which is the committee before which RFK comes. And you can be guaranteed that the minute he sits down in front of me, I'm going to have a long list of questions like, Secretary Kennedy, how many Americans died of COVID? Do vaccines work? Is screwworm a threat? Are you doing anything to combat the Ebola outbreak? And what is your plan to cover people who are currently uninsured? We have heard none of that from the secretary, and that's in part because he hasn't faced tough questions from people who confirmed him, like Susan Collins.
And Jordan Wood, your views on that question?
I think this is one of the most important questions of this election. We need to remember our country is really depending on us here. This is the #1 opportunity to flip a Senate seat. I saw a poll today. Donald Trump is -27. This, of all the potential opportunities to flip a Senate seat, this is the one he is the least popular. And it is why last October I asked Graham to leave this race, because it's not, I have personal animosity. It's because I could see that he was not being truthful about his past, and there's too much at stake in this election for us to take that risk. I served as the chief of staff, actually, while Trump was first in office, for Katie Porter, who's became a household name because of the oversight that she did while Trump was president. And one that just stands out with me is what you can do, even while Trump is in the White House, to bring change, is when, at the start of COVID, the CDC director, Robert Redfield, we hauled him in front of the Oversight Committee and got him to commit that he would make COVID testing free across the country while Trump was still president. But the number one thing I would do for oversight is corruption. The corruption in this White House is unbelievable.
Okay.